The police, upon entering the house, saw a horrific scene like nothing they had ever seen before. The house reeked of a horrible smell, and the body of the girl had literally sunken into the couch, rotting to the bone. While she was still alive, Lacey Ellen Fletcher was born in 1985 in the small town of Slaughter, Louisiana. Slaughter is located not far from Baton Rouge, and this town is home to only about 1,000 people, where everyone knows each other. In such small towns, nothing usually happens, but this case made the town infamously known. Lacey was the only child of Sheila and Clay Fletcher. In childhood, Lacey was diagnosed with autism, and she perceived the world differently than other children. She had difficulties with concentration and communicating with other children. As she grew older, these problems worsened. Lacey struggled to learn at a regular school and had few friends. Despite this, she was always sweet, cheerful, and smiley. She also loved sports and often exercised outside her home. Her parents were highly respected in the town. Her mother, Sheila, once worked as a prosecutor's assistant and later as an assistant to the mayor. Her father, Clay, worked at a non-profit charity organization helping people. They were religious members of the community, and no one expected such a tragedy to happen in their family. At 2:30 a.m. on January 3, 2022, Sheila called emergency services at 911 and reported that her daughter wasn't breathing. The police and paramedics who arrived at the scene found a shocking sight. Lacey's lifeless body was found on a leather couch. She was almost naked, her body sunk into the couch, and it was covered in feces, maggots, and beetles. Her body was marked with red spots and sores. The flesh had decayed down to the bone. She was slumped on her left side, her right arm lying by her neck, her eyes and mouth wide open, her legs crossed beneath her. The stench was unbearable. The scene was described as one of the most horrific cases the county coroner had ever seen, leaving him unable to eat or sleep for days afterward. The father was completely emotionless and showed no signs of feeling, while the mother tried to show sorrow for what had happened and cried. The couch was against the wall, and next to it stood a gray dresser with a neatly folded stack of clothes on it. In front of the couch was a cluttered small black table, covered with lotion bottles, talcum powder, wet wipes, nasal spray, and other items. Nearby, a box containing 9 discs suggested that Lacey had been watching movies on them. There were rodent droppings next to the couch. The first question was why the parents allowed such a thing to happen. How could they, such respectable people, neglect their own daughter like this? How could they live in such conditions, surrounded by filth and unsanitary conditions? It was unclear. Lacey was so emaciated that she weighed only 30 kilograms at the age of 36. The autopsy revealed that Lacey had been bedridden for about 12 years, living in these horrific conditions. Because the skin on her back and buttocks had turned black, she had a positive test for COVID, but this was not the cause of death. The pathologist determined that the cause of death was serious medical neglect, which led to malnutrition, starvation, immobility, the acute development of ulcers, and osteomyelitis, which began to form pus. This critical process in the bones led to sepsis. The pathologist determined the girl's death as a homicide. It is presumed that she died 24 to 48 hours before the 911 call. According to the parents, a couple of days before her death, they went on a weekend trip, and upon returning, they found their daughter's body. They stated that Lacey's autism had worsened, and Asperger's syndrome developed after the 9th grade, and they were forced to isolate her. She switched to homeschooling after that. She disappeared and had not been seen by neighbors for 15 years. Some neighbors who had recently lived nearby didn't even know they had a daughter. The parents told acquaintances who inquired about her that their daughter was sick and couldn't leave the house. They claimed she had locked-in syndrome, a rare and serious form of neurological disorder characterized by paralysis of all muscles except those that control eye movements. Patients with this condition are completely bedridden and require care. They are fully dependent on their caregivers. However, Lacey's medical records did not show such a diagnosis, and it was unknown who had made that claim. The last time their daughter visited a doctor was at the age of 16 when she was still in school. She only complained of anxiety, and the diagnosis was autism. Why she became paralyzed remains unknown. The family led a closed lifestyle, rarely communicating with anyone, and no one visited them during these years. Therefore, no one knew what was happening with Lacey. After their daughter's death, the mother wrote on her social media page, "Mom and Dad love you so much." The parents, 64-year-old Sheila and 65-year-old Lacey Fletcher, were arrested on May 2, 2022. They were charged with second-degree murder. Sheila and Clay denied their guilt and claimed that their daughter was an adult and made her own decisions. They claimed that they couldn't influence her or intervene in the situation and that she simply liked being a recluse, not leaving the house, and living on the couch without getting up. She didn't even want to go to the bathroom and would relieve herself on a towel next to the couch, which they would later clean up. According to them, Lacey never complained that she felt bad, so they never sought medical help. The mother helped treat the ulcers on her skin. All of this sounded implausible. The girl was severely malnourished and starved, and she developed sepsis. It was previously not mentioned that their daughter was paralyzed, but then they claimed she had chosen that life on the couch. All of this occurred over 12 years in front of their eyes, and they did nothing. Now, they were asserting that she was not ill and did not need care. It also seems suspicious that Lacey died just at the moment when they went on vacation or that they went on vacation when she died. No medical visits for their daughter had been recorded by the parents. Just 2 days after their arrest, on May 4, 2022, the parents were released from jail on a $300,000 bail for each of them. This decision caused a lot of controversy. According to the district attorney, the parents had no criminal record, and the likelihood of their fleeing was minimal, so they were given the opportunity to await trial while free. Sheila and Clay portrayed themselves as grieving parents who regretted their daughter's death, but the public didn't believe them. Local residents were shocked by the story and outraged by the parents' negligence. Clay's attorney issued a statement saying that they did not want to relive the pain of losing their child through the media, which is why they weren't giving interviews. Over the years, they had gone through much emotional pain, and anyone who has lost a child knows how it feels. But is this comparison valid with other parents who have lost children? Lacey's parents could have helped her if they had sought medical help, but for that, they would have needed the will, which they probably lacked. The prosecutor called the girl's death a murder and demanded that an investigation be conducted by law enforcement, referring to her death as a result of serious medical neglect. The issue is now being decided whether to classify the case as manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, or second-degree murder. For involuntary manslaughter, the sentence can be up to 5 years. For manslaughter, the sentence can be up to 40 years, and for second-degree murder, it is life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The prosecutor stated that he would insist on second-degree murder because they did not do what they were supposed to do. Lacey's parents were her primary caregivers and should have helped her. We don't treat animals like this and don't neglect them. If we have an animal in such a condition, we take it to the veterinarian. But here it was a human, their daughter. The court proceedings in this case are still ongoing. I will follow the progress of the trial and will update you on the verdict. If you like this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about what you think of this case. Thank you all and goodbye.